Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at the Baker Incident report. We finished playing through the Baker Incident last week here on the channel, but before we even think about starting Resident Evil 8, we need to truly understand the events of Resident Evil 7. And there are two steps to doing that. First of all, playing through Resident Evil 7, which I have done more than enough. I have played through that game more times than I would ever care to admit. And the other key step to understanding the first half of the tragedy of Ethan Winters is to read the Baker Incident report. And that is what we will be doing today. I've not read this yet, and I am very excited to read it. I've read the first 3 pages of the Baker Incident report before deciding to make a video on it, as I didn't really think it would be so interesting. But oh boy, if the first 3 pages are anything to go by, it's quite interesting. Just before we do get started, I want to say that this video does in fact coincide with the release of my Resident Evil 7 tribute. Resident Evil 7 is one of my favourite games, and its tribute is one of my favourite tributes that I've ever made. So it really would mean a lot to me if you went over and checked that out. But for now, let's read the Baker Incident report. The Baker Incident report. This report depicts my investigation into the events after the incident at the Baker's residence. So this all takes place after Resident Evil 7. That's what fascinates me. The Baker Incident, July 2017. A number of people lost their lives at the residence in the middle of the American countryside. It was a truly horrifying tragedy. I still don't know the exact number of victims. This is how far I read, and the fact that I saw page 3 essentially saying Resident Evil 7 happened, and then we have another 77 pages of what happens after. And that blew my mind. Another thing that I really want to know is I want to know whose perspective this is from. Is it Chris's perspective? Because someone like Chris would write an incident report. Is this Ethan's perspective? Is this his witness statement? Is it Mia's perspective? Or are we going to get notes throughout from a bunch of people? I really don't know and can't wait to find out. 2 survivors, husband and wife Ethan and Mia Winters, were able to shed some light on the events which would have shook the world. But there was a cover-up and the Winterses vanished. Oh, interesting. So who covered it up? Was it Blue Umbrella? Was it Chris's gang? Or was it the Connections? And I have to admit, 2 survivors. Zoe didn't make it. She didn't make it. What does that mean for Joe Baker as well? Technically, he didn't survive the incident. He was an outsider who, I don't think he'd count as a survivor. Because he definitely didn't die. He wasn't even infected. At least not to our knowledge. But Zoe didn't make it. Damn. I really thought we saved her at the end of Zoe, but we didn't. Well, I mean, Joe did save her, but she must have died later, and it was all part of this cover-up, I imagine, because whoever's writing this doesn't know of Zoe being alive. If she is alive, she might be alive, and whoever's writing this isn't aware of that. There is someone or something powerful acting behind the scenes. I just know it. I decided to investigate, to follow the breadcrumbs of what happened after. How can I be so sure? Because I'm someone who was there. So it must be Ethan. Must be Ethan or Mia. Well, Mia, it can't be Mia, because Mia would know about the Connections and all that. Because I'm someone who was there, that could actually be Chris. It could be Chris saying, because he did turn up towards the end. It could be anyone from Blue Umbrella. It could be a very minor character who, by the end of these notes, dies. I don't know, but I do know that I'm excited to read on. First of all, how was this incident reported upon its discovery by the world? Let's take a look at some newspaper clippings from that time, to see how the news was manipulated. Chapter 1, Discovery of the Incident. Local newspaper, the Dulvey Daily, July 22nd, 2017. So very close to the events of Resident Evil 7. Family of 4 found dead in Dulvey. No mention of Ethan and Mia Winters. Very interesting. Dulvey County Sheriff's Office have reported that the Baker family were found dead in their homes in North Dulvey on the 21st of July. The surrounding details are currently unknown, apart from the deaths of Jack Baker, his wife Marguerite, their son Lucas, and daughter Zoe. Deputy Sheriff Dave Anderson has also been missing since the 19th, according to Deputy Sheriff Riley Whiteford, who visited the Baker's residence around the same time of his disappearance. Just for those of you who don't know, Dave Anderson is the police officer who met his grisly demise at the hands of Jack Baker. Got his head sliced straight in half, and then got turned into a moulded by Lucas Baker, and therefore his body was never recovered, so they don't know he's dead. Oh, that's Ethan's hand. Social media post July 22nd, 2017. That thing with the dead family, wasn't that where the giant black monster was? Yes, Evelyn! That was Evelyn! You think they were eaten by that thing? No way, it's not some cheesy horror movie. It wasn't, it was a cheesy horror game. Old man Jack did say some crazy stuff. I remember him getting into lots of fights. He probably killed the whole family, and then offed himself. Damn, is that what people think? So the media probably just ran with that. That's so sad. Poor Jack, man. So they all think he did it. That's a shame, because Jack, everything that happened in Resident Evil 7 happened because of Jack's good intentions. You see it in the Daughter's part of the banned footage DLC. He brings Mia and Evelyn in, and then the rest of the game transpires. All because he was a good guy, and now they think he killed the family and then killed himself. That's sad. Transcript of a complaint to the county sheriff's office. I don't believe it. It's been 2 days already, but you haven't reported anything else. Was it murder? An accident? Suicide? And what's with the National Guard sealing the place off? What are you all hiding from us? Very little was reported shortly after the Baker incident was discovered, leading to rapid spread of rumours and speculation. The Bakers were completely isolated from the rest of the community, and sealing off the entire area around their home set things into motion. I recall there sure was a lot of public pressure on the press for information. I admit that at the time I was being held in quarantine by a certain organisation. Interesting. And couldn't see any of the news for myself. Interesting. So could this be Joe's account? This could be Joe Baker, being held in quarantine by Blue Umbrella. Very, very interesting. They finally allowed me to watch TV a few days after, and I was flabbergasted by the stark difference between the reports and reality. Chapter 2, The Cover-Up. Local newspaper, the Dolby Daily, July 30th, 2017. So about a week after the newspaper report we read earlier. Sheriff's office says the Baker family killed by natural gas. Ooh, there was definitely a cover-up, but at least Jack's name hasn't been tarnished. In a follow-up on the deaths of the Baker family on July 21st, the Dolby County Sheriff's Office stated, "It is highly likely that their deaths were caused by a hydrogen sulfide leak." The local area is surrounded by wetlands, which combined with a concentration of pollution could have led to the buildup of toxic gas that claimed the lives of the Baker family. The leak has been blocked, however the authorities have sealed off the area in order to prevent any further accidents. That's the cover-up, that it was a hydrogen sulfide leak. Ooh! The victims were deceased Jack Baker, Marguerite Baker, Lucas Baker, Zoe Baker, Dave Anderson, Clancy Jarvis, Andre Stickland, and Peter Walken. Wow! So they did get the sewer gators in there. And I guess this also confirms that 21 wasn't canon, because Hoffman's not on here. Very interesting. 21's still a fantastic game mode. I probably play it more than I play anything else in Resident Evil 7. But that's very interesting to know that it isn't canon, because Hoffman isn't on here. Which means that Hoffman being called Hoffman is very much so likely a reference to Mark Hoffman from the Saw franchise. Even better. And injured, of course, we have Ethan and Mia Winters. Ooh, social media post July 30th, 2017. Toxic hydrogen sulfide gas? They're kidding, right? I heard there were soldiers, tanks, helicopters, the whole shebang when it happened. The government's up to something for sure. And here comes the conspiracy theorist. A bunch of nutjobs like you came out of the woodwork during the Raccoon City incident too! They made a direct reference to the Raccoon City incident! That's amazing! Capcom hiding little Easter eggs and little garnishes of little cherries on top of the little Resident Evil Tragedy of Ethan Winters cake and page 17 of the Baker incident report! I love you, Capcom! That's fantastic! Nice little reference in there. But there was that black monster and that satellite photo of the shipwreck. You have to admit, something's fishy. So they do know about the shipwreck, the public. Very interesting. Magazine, Inspector. An interview with Sally Baldwin, Professor of Geological Sciences at Minden University. Interviewer, so you don't agree with the report from the Sheriff's Office that it was a natural gas leak? Baldwin, we can't rule it out completely, but it's very unusual, all things considered. Hydrogen sulfide builds up in areas where there is a lot of volcanic activity. The town of Dulvey, however, has no volcanic activity anywhere in the area. My own geological survey in 1998 revealed absolutely no hydrogen sulfide in the area. A tragic natural gas leak. That was the official stance on the Baker incident. But this is a complete fabrication. Nothing about the murders in that house. Nothing about the terrifying monsters that stalked the halls and lived within its walls. It's evidence that someone was keeping the truth hidden. The thing that surprised me the most was the fact that my name was on the list of victims. So it's not Joe Baker. The organisation still had me in quarantine. I was terrified the whole thing would come to an end with me actually being among the deceased. So this organisation and the way they had this person in quarantine made them think that they were going to end up dead. So maybe Blue Umbrella isn't exactly as nice as we thought it would be. We thought Blue Umbrella might have been a step in the right direction for the Umbrella Corporation, especially now that Chris is on their side, but maybe Blue Umbrella's not as nice as we thought. Thankfully, it was a needless fear. Okay, so this person is safe. The organisation gave me a new identity and let me go. I guess they figured I was harmless and didn't know anything else. I was allowed to live as a new person, apparently for my own safety. So could this be Mia Winters? Because the connections would be after her. I tried to contact the other two survivors, Ethan and Mia. What? So it's not Ethan or Mia. They saved my life after all. I wanted to at least thank them, but they'd completely disappeared. So is this Zoe Baker? Did she make it? Oh, I hope this turns out to be Zoe. I know the organisation knows where they are, so I decided to investigate. The BSAA. Oh damn, the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance. If I've remembered that correctly, I deserve a medal. We didn't hear anything about the BSAA in RE7. We did in RE8, but not in RE7. Interesting. BSAA, Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance. God, I know too much about Resident Evil. A counter-bioterrorism organisation sanctioned by the United Nations. It was formed to combat the rise in bioterrorism after the collapse of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. They have combated terrorism across the world, including China and Europe, and are highly regarded as bioterrorist police. The BSAA finally intervened in the Baker incident and were the ones that saved Ethan, Mia, and I. Thanks to my detainment in their facility, I have a pretty good idea of who their members are. I was very, very persuasive when it came to asking them about the organisation and top secret documents. The topic I was most interested in, of course, the Baker incident. I wanted to know the truth the BSAA were hiding. Chapter 3, The Hidden Truth. Magazine Inspector. Secret meeting between the sheriff and international organisation. One of our reporters has unearthed evidence that a secret meeting happened between Dulvey's Sheriff Coleridge and an international organisation known as the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, BSAA. Many have voiced their concerns around the legitimacy of the Sheriff's Office statement that the incident at the Baker's estate was caused by a toxic gas leak. Inspector suspects there might be more to the story, and the Sheriff's Office and BSAA are covering something up. We reached out to the Sheriff's Office, but they refused to give a statement. Edgar McClintock, Investigations Department. Final report on the Baker incident. The following details the investigation into the biological disaster in Dulvey, Louisiana, also known as the Baker incident. This document is for employees with Class B clearance and above. We have concluded that the Baker incident was caused by accidental contamination from a prototype bioweapon known as Evelyn. The residents of the Baker household were contaminated by a mold-like pathogen, mutamycete. Evelyn was capable of rapidly producing this mold, and it enabled her to control those infected, both mentally and physically. The Baker family were not the only victims. Evelyn manipulated the Bakers into kidnapping dozens of people. These victims were infected and mutated into monstrous creatures called molded. So the BSAA really did get to the bottom of everything. Not that I expected anything different, but yeah, they were aware, so that's very interesting. I want to know how quickly they were aware. Evelyn was originally created in a Munich research facility by the international crime syndicate, The Connections. BSAA dispatched a team to destroy Evelyn. The mission, however, was not successful, and Evelyn escaped. So this is all before Resident Evil 7. So they were aware of Evelyn's creation and sent a team, and then Evelyn got away. Evelyn was then transferred to America by the Connections via a ship, along with her caretaker, Mia Winters. So the BSAA sent a team to try and kill Evelyn and stop what the Connections were doing. And because they were unsuccessful, that's when she was moved and the storm crashed the ship. Wow. However, Evelyn managed to escape during transport. She murdered most of the ship's crew and destroyed the ship. We believe she then abandoned the vessel that had washed up in the bayou near the Baker residence. She didn't leave. She was there, unconscious. We can only assume unconscious. There's a chance Mia died and was brought back to life by Evelyn. Lucas found them. Jack went and brought them in. Daughters DLC. Resident Evil 7. Not a Hero DLC. Resident Evil 8. The aforementioned operation to eliminate Evelyn was BSAA's failing. We cannot deny that, as it resulted in Evelyn infecting innocent civilians. BSAA will have to take responsibility should these events ever come to light. As such, we advise that a cover story is fed to the media and BSAA's involvement is kept quiet. End of report. Okay, I flicked pages and saw Evelyn, and it actually made me jump a little bit. E-Series Mutamycete Analysis Report. Oh, so we're getting test results from the tests they did. Biological Analysis Report on the E-Series Mutamycete, henceforth referred to as Mutamycete, recovered from the Baker residence. The Mutamycete has similar characteristics to Cladosporium, black mold, and has incredibly high reproductive properties. It acts like a parasite, infecting the cells and rewriting the DNA of its host. Furthermore, when it combines with other bacteria, it creates its own muscle tissue, brain, and nervous system. As such, an organism infected with Mutamycete transforms into a type of undead monster. End of report. Bioweapon Report File. A human biological weapon constructed through the implementation of Mutamycete into a human embryo. Has the ability to infect with a fungal network and control its host through brainwave signals. Evelyn was driven by a natural instinct to create a family, and the infected victims she controlled were her surrogate family. However, due to an innate defect in her chromosomes, Evelyn's cells reproduced at an accelerated rate, causing her to age rapidly, then die. End of report. The Connections Report. The Connections is a crime syndicate with no base of operation. Their organizational structure is unknown, however we are aware of their actions on a global level. In recent years, they have been particularly active in Eastern Europe. Most of their activities appear to revolve around the creation and selling of bioweapons. Evelyn was one of their products. And towards the end of Resident Evil 8, we find out exactly why they were making Evelyn, and oh my goodness, is it interesting. Reliable sources have confirmed that the criminal organization was founded by Brandon Bailey. Interesting. Bailey is a shrewd man and was once the right-hand man of Oswald E. Spencer, CEO and president of the Umbrella Corporation. His current status and location, unknown. Bailey and Spencer became estranged due to differing visions, and Bailey used the connections he made working as the director of the Umbrella African Research Center to branch off and found the crime syndicate. The organization's main goal appears to be commercial gain. Further investigations are in progress. According to BSAA's top secret documents, the Baker incident as I know it was just another statistical blip to be recorded. That fateful night where the tanker washed up in the bayou, Jack took that little girl from the shipwreck into our home. Then she turned everyone crazy, made us into monsters. BSAA knew this when they manipulated the media and covered the whole thing up. An easy thing to do for an organization with the direct backing from the United Nations. They couldn't let anyone know that it was them who let Evelyn, the cause of all of this, escape. I continued to investigate and finally caught wind of Ethan and Mia's location. Chapter 4. Where the Winterses are. BSAA Investigations Department. Transcript of the interview with Ethan Winters. Audio begins. Shall we begin then? Please state your name and occupation. Ethan Winters. I'm a systems engineer. How many times do we have to do this? When are you going to let us go? Our interviews until now have been necessary to conclude if you had any ulterior motives. Now we understand that you're just an innocent victim in this whole incident. So, you're letting us go? Yes, but we have one condition. What's that? We would like you and your wife to remain under our supervision. In exchange, we will provide you with a new home, a new country. What are you saying? You want us to take on new identities? Wait, a new country? You want us to move to another country? To a lovely country in Eastern Europe, to be precise. Europe? You gotta be kidding. Why the hell would we? You are both witnesses to what happened. There is a certain criminal organization who is looking for you. We are doing this for your protection. Think of it more like witness protection, but all the way in Europe? Without any say? Oh my goodness, of course they wanted to move them to Eastern Europe. That's where the Connections activity was. They wanted them around. The BSSA were planning on using the Winterses, if necessary. That's an interesting development. You can forget everything you experienced here. Start a new life. It's better for you both that way. There's no way we can forget everything that happened. I want to talk to Mia about this. Let me talk to Mia. Audio ends. So, when was the last time Ethan and Mia got to speak? Were they kept separate? For how long? BSSA Investigation Department, transcript of interview with Mia Winters. Audio begins. According to our examinations, you are mostly free of the mold now, Mia. Did you tell him? About my past? No. As a sign of appreciation for your cooperation, BSAA has not divulged your involvement with the Connections. I just want to return to a normal life with Ethan. To forget everything. Audio ends. Okay, so they didn't say anything to Ethan, which is nice. Ethan doesn't know. That explains in a lot more detail. That gives a much better explanation to why at the beginning of Resident Evil 8, Mia wants to forget about everything and Ethan doesn't. I'm glad they summed that up. Ethan doesn't know about her involvement with the connections. Very nice to have that confirmed. Ethan and Mia are in Europe. I was ecstatic that I finally had a clue into their whereabouts. However, that was where my investigation hit a brick wall. BSAA's security is tight, and even with some acquaintances helping me out, no one knew the Winterses' exact location, which makes sense when you consider an international crime syndicate is after them. 2 years passed, and no progress. I ended up working as a rookie reporter for a small newspaper in New Orleans. The Baker incident has all about vanished from people's minds. Then one day, a letter arrived at my tiny apartment. It was from none other than Mia Winters herself. Oh, interesting. So they reached out to whoever this person is. Mia's letter. Hey, how are you doing? It's been a while, hasn't it? BSSA won't let us send any emails or letters, but I gave this directly to an employee to give it to you, so it should be safe. Our location is still hidden. I've always wanted to tell you how thankful I am. Ethan and I would have died in that house if it hadn't been for you. It must have been hard to fight all alone for so long, so thank you. I can't tell you where we are, but we're safe and happy. I feel like we finally settled down into our new lives. The house BSAA gave us is huge. I don't know what to do with it all. Oh, that reminds me. There's a reason I wanted to write to you. Ethan and I had a baby. I included a picture of her with this letter. I warn you, she is so cute. Oh, sweet. So whoever this is, I'm assuming it's Zoe. I'm hoping it's Zoe. They know about Rosemary. It's very nice. Happy half birthday. And they have half a cake. That's sweet. We named her Rosemary. Isn't it such a wonderful name? I hope you can come see her someday. Ethan wants to see you too. I've learned all kind of local dishes. I'm sure you'll like them. No need to reply. No need to reply. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Take care of yourself, okay? Sincerely, Mia Winters. A letter from Mia and Ethan out of nowhere? And they have a daughter? I'd almost given up finding them. I couldn't hold back the tears. I'm glad the three of them are happy in their new life. Just as I went to close the mailbox, I spotted another envelope. We've just had such a nice letter from Mia. This isn't gonna be good, is it? It was embossed with a BSAA logo. Oh god. The sender unknown. It contained the following. BSAA HQ. Warning letter to Chris Redfield. Warning letter to Chris Redfield? And this person's got it. So this person must be Chris. But Chris would have known where everyone was. What? Also, Chris wasn't on the list. They said their name was on the list. They said they were there for the... This can't be Chris. Someone's got the wrong letter. Chris, we're growing concerned with your recent activity. According to recent reports, you've taken personal control of the elite unit, the Hound Wolf Squad, without permission. And you've accessed a number of top secret documents, also without permission. What the hell are you doing? Chris must be the friend of this person. This must be the friend who's accessing the documents. Oh, Chris, good lad. What are you and your squad doing in Eastern Europe? Who the fuck is this Miranda that keeps popping up in your correspondence? What's with the investigation into the Winters family? You've been very critical of BSAA since the Baker incident. You might be one of the founding original 11, but I cannot let you continue to run around unchecked. So I will repeat myself. What the hell are you doing? BSAA HQ, investigations. So the BSAA are onto Chris about his suspicious activity. He was looking into Miranda, operating in Eastern Europe. Oh my goodness! Chris must have arranged for the Winterses to be moved to Eastern Europe because he knew he was going there so that he can keep an eye on them more or less personally. And he was obviously helping whoever's perspective we're following. Again, please let it be Zoe. I really want her to be okay. And if she had the help of Chris, I'm sure she will be. There was one thing scribbled on the back of this. So this was supposed to come to this person. It's not over. I assume Chris wrote that. This is everything I have on the Baker incident. It's purely for my own reference. I don't intend to send it out to the general public. I will continue my investigation. Many have tried to get in my way, slow me down. But I'm doing this for my family. I won't give up. I know that someday I'll be able to give Ethan and Mia my thanks directly. At least I pray I can. My name is Zoe Baker, a survivor of this tragedy. Hell yeah. She lived. Oh, she lived. She lived. She lived. She wasn't mentioned in Resident Evil 8. The Resident Evil 7 and End of Zoe DLC left it in a way where they very, very easily could have killed her off. probably would have been easier to kill her off than have her be a character that's alive and out there. But they didn't. She lived. Oh, that's so good. My name is Zoe Baker, a survivor of this tragedy. Fantastic. There's still one more document. The Baker Incident Report. End. What does one even say? What does one even say after reading something like that? Let's go back to this page. Oh, she lived. Oh, I'm so pleased. But that is the Baker Incident Report by Zoe Baker. What do I even say now? What do I even say? That's fantastic. And I'm glad we get to learn a lot more about what happened prior to Resident Evil 7 as well as after. Oh, that's so interesting. Everything I read is pretty self-explanatory, so I don't really feel that I need to go through and break it down. If you do want me to do an in-depth story video on what we've just read, I can. I'm more than happy to. There's a lot to dig into there. But for now, I think I've spoken for long enough. You've heard enough of my voice today. I want to remind you once again, the release of this video did in fact coincide with the release of my Resident Evil 7 Biohazard tribute. I'm really happy with this tribute. It's one of my favourite games and also one of my favourite tributes, so it would really mean a lot to me if you went and checked that out. There's only one thing left to say, and that is, with that all said, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, drop a like on the video. If you disliked the video, drop a dislike on the video. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you in the next video.